Good afternoon. Not physics. Physics is coming. In this video I'm just going to be talking about some bows. Now what happened was about a year ago, maybe a year and a half or two, I forget, a friend of mine who's an archer brought me out to Queen's, and the idea was to take some shots indoors, and I did that, and I did very poorly. They gave me some complicated bow with things all over the place, and it was loading on the wrong side, for me anyway. And I thought, Jesus, I thought I could do this, and I couldn't do it. I didn't do very well anyway. I couldn't aim, I couldn't hit the target properly. Well, when I got back I realized, wait a minute, when you were a kid, you made bows and you shot them all right. I used bows with the pinching arrow with no nocks because I was a kid, and that was the simplest thing I could do. But I could do it the same way as American Indians, Plains Indians had. No nocks, simple bows, simple arrows. Now I didn't know what kind of bow I was making. It turned out I was making an English longbow or short bow from ash staves. I would take them out, cut the branches off them, cut the bark off them, pare them down, let them age, and put a string on them, and that's it. Dead simple. So then I thought, wait a minute, when I could do it then, why can't I do it now? So I came home and I got a couple of horse bows, and I realized that's the way to go. Of course I looked at the Lars Anderson video, and he put the arrow on the right side of the bow, and he's being right-handed. So that's what I used to do when I was a kid. So basically I'll show you. This is a horse bow, and I love horse bows. This one is Crimean. It's very light. It's beautiful actually. Beautifully made. Now the first thing to do is string it. Now to string it, there's a technique. You use your legs, your foot and your leg. And I'm not going to show this technique now, I'm just going to string the bow. This is about 40 pounds. And I like to shoot horse bows because you can shoot them fast. Let me show you. Now I'm in the apartment, so I'm not actually going to let these arrows go, but I'll just give you the impression. 1, 2, 3, and it's intuitive shooting, of course. 4, and mostly I can hit the target at least where I want to, and fast, right? Now if I didn't have to catch them up here, I would do it a little bit faster than that. So that's a horse bow. But the bows that I was making when I was a kid, we'll pause for a drop of sake. The bows that I was making when I was a kid were just English longbows. Now this is the kind of bow that I would have made when I was a kid. Now this is a flat bow. This is actually American Osage orange. It's about 45 pounds. Now I want to go through it. It's flat edged, nicely finished. This is where the bark would have been. Actually it's 30 pounds at 28 inches. Now when I tiller a bow, that means you get it to bend evenly. I just use the end of the bed and pull it back and watch it, okay? But I also don't tiller always by taking pieces off everywhere, because you'll end up with no bow eventually. I sometimes add pieces, and I added a piece here. See, because this part was weak, and it wasn't bending at the same rate as this one. So I just lash using stringing techniques. There's a way to do that, I'll show you someday. And a little bit of glue to stop it doing this. Now this needs a bit of glue on it too. I don't like to see those knots there. This is not very well done. I've got others that I did a lot better than that. And the notches are very simple, just plain notches, but they work. So we string this one. That's the Asian method of stringing. Now, strictly speaking, it's the rule of thumb, but this is a short bow. So the rule of thumb minus an inch is for a short bow like this. For a long bow, it's the rule of thumb. The rule of thumb is this distance here. Now this one, hope it doesn't break while I'm pulling it. Oh boy, it is strong. It's more than 35 pounds. But it's a nice bow and I like it. I love it because it's small. Yeah, this is the English way of unstring, I think. I know I'll go back to the Asian way of doing it. So that's a bow that was made here in the living room. Now, some years ago for my son, I made a bow which is based on the leaf spring of a car. There are lots of different leaves. It's just like a leaf spring of a car. These were just cheap pine that I found on the street, lats, and I said, wait a minute, I'll bring these in. It's only 17 pounds, but it's very fast. And I lashed the pieces together and put a little narrow piece there for my hand. And you can string this one very easily. Only 17 pounds. However, if you have a bow, two things affect the speed of the arrow leaving the bow. The draw weight, how strong it is, but more importantly, believe it or not, the distance. Work is force times distance, bang! Force times distance, equally shared, right? However, in the early stages of the motion of the arrow, we want to have as much force as possible. Now this bow pulls back, way back to the back of my head. And it can send an arrow just as far as some of these much more higher poundage bows. Just as far. I had it out on the beach in Nantucket and it could do it. Now if you look at Japanese bows, samurai bows, they come down here. And I don't know why they do that, but I know it's to do with the distance. They pull it way back behind their head and that gives the arrow its impetus. Now there were two theories of projectiles. The one that we know now to be true, that was projectiles derived through Newton's laws. But before Newton's laws were figured out, they had a theory called impetus. The projectile got impetus and then it ran out of it and fell straight out of the sky. Of course, clearly that's wrong. Because it's a parabola outside of air resistance. The trajectory, I mean. So that's another bow. And then of course I made a very simple self bow, just one piece with a D shape, a D profile. See, that's flat and this is rounded. And it's an English longbow. And this one actually has a string that I bought online. What's that knot called? Flemish knot. String it the Asian style. Because it's quite strong, it's 40 to 45 pounds. I should have twisted it now. This Flemish knot, if I twisted it anti-clockwise, would shorten. This is that's not enough. I need a longer distance here. I should have done that before I strung it. But it'll still shoot fast. Plain knots, not adjusted. And you don't look at them. Plain knocks, not adjusted. Plain cheap arrows. I do have some good arrows with nice turkey fletchings. So that's the English longbow. And here's a couple of English longbows I made, but the wood didn't turn out quite right. I bought some hickory online. And it turned out to be too thin in the middle, so I added a piece. As you can see, it's lashed like the way I did the other ones. Lashed together. No glue, because I wanted the flexibility. And this bow is awesome. I love it. Oops, I'm hitting the chandelier. That sounds like some girl singer going swinging from the chandeliers. I don't know what she's doing. And this one is quite beautiful. It has a lovely springy feel to it, and I can pull it really far back and not worry about it ever breaking. Once again, we can go fast with this one too. That's not fast. That's slow. But I'm in the apartment here. I don't want to send an arrow out the window into the street. And the other English longbow I made is almost identical to that. The reason is, when I got the piece of hickory online, it was just a block like this. So I cut it down the middle. So I could have got one bow out of it. I don't know whether to get one bow out of this or two. So I got two out of that last block, but the grain on this one goes on a curve. It goes on a curve, which means that I got one beautiful bow out of it, or two not so beautiful ones, and I could add this to it, you see? Right. I'm inclined to go with just cutting it down the middle and adding an extra piece of a stave here. This one I lashed a little bit nicer. I had a better twine. The other twine was cheap twine, nylon. This is cotton. And once again, there's no glue in here. And once again, oh yeah, this is a string I bought online that was too long, so I cut it and shortened it, made it the right size. We can string it. And once again, it's beautiful. Works very well. About 45 pounds, maybe 50 actually. Well, it depends on how far I want to pull it back. 50 at 28 inches, I can only guess. See? Oh, beautiful, love it. I love the feel of it. So there you go. How do you make these bows? You just cut it down D shape. This is 33 pounds actually. That's 33 pounds at 28 inches, but I pull that back to about 32, so it gets to be more like 40 pounds. And you add your extra piece. Now the next bow I'm going to make, I'm going to add the pieces on the inside, the belly of the bow as they call it. This is the back of the bow. Now it's not in the center, because the strength of this bow started to deteriorate around here in the tillering process, just around here. So this piece is added a little bit higher to this side, not down there, but it's well tillered anyway. Look, as you can see, bends quite evenly. Very springy. Anyway, that's that. Okay, physics next time.